Hello, and thank you for your interest in the mini laser organ interface and the laser organ software. I'll be demonstrating both of these for you. First is the laser organ interface, or mini laser organ. On the front there is a USB port and RGB LED output to see what color is showing, and in white audio LED to show you what the audio trigger is doing. On the back is an audio trigger out. It's a 1/4-inch jack which delivers an audio compliant pulse to anything that will receive an audio in, such as a lighting console. Also, there is a DMX out. It's a 5-pin, but you can use an adapter to make it 3-pin if you need to for your instruments. The laser organ software boots up with this configuration. The first thing you'll want to do is go down to the communications area and select your COM port, hit reset, and then turn the laser software organ audio section on. To see if it's working, you can see right now the LEDs are off. The easiest thing to do would be to use the hotkeys 1 through 7, and those correspond to the color lock section up here. So if we press 1, cyan comes on, yellow, 2, magenta, and then we get R, red, green, blue, and white. And these are really helpful if you want to play the song manually. It's a very fun thing to do, and it's also very handy if you had a client who wanted a magenta show and you wanted to lock the color on magenta. You can set that very easily with the hotkey, and 0 will turn it off, or so will enter, returning to the normal mode. The next, I guess, thing to do would be to start some music and show you the input stages. Over here is the main input. It has a pre-fader level, and according to your source it should be just in this area. If it starts getting into the red, you'll start redlining and distorting the music. And over here is a post-fader. This is actually what's going to the laser organ software. You do not want this to be in the red. This is a good level. If you were starting to go in the red, you can grab your fader with the mouse and pull down the post level, and you can see that it comes down accordingly. If your pre-fader is set to a good level like this one is, you can leave that at full, and then your post fader is at unity gain or equal to your pre-fader. And we can see that the output section here, the LED is blinking accordingly, and in kind is the front LED output on the laser organ interface. Also, the white audio LED is blinking according to the audio trigger. So that is the input stage. The next stage is the heartbeat of the engine of the software, which is the 3 filters. And here you're able to set profiles for each filter. We've got filter 1, 2, and 3. Here I've got them set to a low-pass filter, a bandpass filter, and a high-pass filter. You can change these, of course. Just go up here and suddenly I've created a high-pass filter, but we'll put it back to a low-pass filter. There's many to choose from. You're also able to, which is very nice, grab the filter and move it and tune it into whatever frequency you're trying to get. You can also grab the Q line and affect the shape of the profile, make it a knee shape or sharp edged profile, and we'll set it there for now. So what we have done effectively with this is the low pass filter is attenuating or turning off the mids and the highs and only allowing the lows to pass. The band pass, I've got it tuned so that it's effectively blocking the lows and the highs and only allowing the mids to pass. And then the high pass filter is blocking the lows and the mids and only allowing the highs to go. This gives you a good graphical representation of what each of the 3 filters are doing. And above the 3 graphs are 3 VU meters. And think of these as helpful tools in finding and locating the frequency. For instance, if you wanted to grab this low end frequency and say, where is that bass drum or kick drum peaking at. So you move this and you'll see that the peak is when it gets into the upper area, the LED above it will correspondingly blink. So it's a helpful, the meters are a helpful tool in locating your frequency. And like I said, right above the VU meters are 3 LEDs or triggers, and below each of those are a color. In this case we have red, green, and blue. And in between them we have cyan, yellow, and magenta. And how this works is if filter 1 and 2 are on or high, the resultant color is cyan. If 2 and 3 are high, the resultant color is yellow. And of course, if 1 and 3 are high, the resultant color is magenta. Now, if all 3 filters are on at the same time, if the music is really loud at that section, we have a option over here that says all filters. Right now it's set to white, but that can be changed to whatever you desire. You just press the pull down and you can select whatever color you want. So if all filters are high, you can say, oh, I want it to be red for the very loud section. So I'm going to leave it white for now. And then below it we have a section that says silence. And right now I've got it set to black or pseudo black. So whenever there's a break in the music, the LED over here will go to black. And so between rests or breaks, and especially at the end of songs, the output section will go to black. And this very much emulates a human operation. The automation gives a very human feel with that, and it's certainly very tight, more so than even maybe sometimes a human, where he's busy doing an all-night show and he gets tired after a while. This thing will not get tired. And the next section I'd like to take you to is, since we're talking about filters, is the trigger filter. This is the audio trigger filter, and it looks very familiar. Once again, the LED, a VU meter, a volume, a compressor, and again another tunable filter. You can set it to trigger on the cymbals, snares, voice, or the bass. We'll leave it there. Close that out. And on each of the 3 filters there is a compressor. And for instance, I'll click the compressor number 1, and it pops up a dialog with a very familiar, if you're used to using audio compressors, a very familiar dialog, which is a threshold, rate, tack, release, gate. And we can see that the compressor is working accordingly. And this is a really handy feature in that, like, if the music is soft, the compressor will open up and allow signal to pass, and if it's loud, it'll compress the signal down so that it's not peaking. And for these 3 LEDs up here, if they were constantly on, that would be a bad thing. Or if they were constantly off because the music was soft, that would be a bad thing. You wouldn't have the effect you're probably looking for. And so the compressor does a wonderful thing by writing those levels for you, and it's an extremely handy tool. We'll go over to the other section here is the Grandmaster. You click down, of course, it fades down, and click up, we can see that the output section over there, it fades up accordingly. You can also grab it with your mouse and fade it. The output on the interface goes up and down as well, the Grandmaster. Right next to it is a strobe. We can set that to strobe right here, and of course our LED over here, master LED, is strobing. You have a nice feature here, which is trigger. It'll only strobe according to the music. Conversely, over here, the chaser has a feature quite the same way. We can turn that on, and let's set that to red, magenta, blue, and slow it down a little bit. You can see red, magenta, blue. Now if you wanted to make it more musical, you could introduce the trigger, so it starts triggering on the audio. We've got obviously our audio trigger set to the low end, so it's triggering on the low end, and that's a very nice look. And again, once again, our audio interface is tracking it quite nicely. I'll turn that off. The other sections I want to show you are the custom colors. Custom colors is a great feature for that client who wants a particular Pantone selection of colors, and they can actually come over here and dial in the colors they want and see it in real time on your LED fixtures or your laser. And the client can come over and say, oh, I want this color right there, and you can save those colors into the custom colors and recall them for later, and have the laser organ play just those colors for the whole night if they wanted. And then of course we have a color box for the mechanical laser color changers, and if the lasers are used in the ILDA format, we have the white balance, RGB, and yellow global adjust, and so that's under the custom color page. Next thing I'd like to show you is the beam chase. The beam chase is a nice feature. You can click through your positions, and you can see that according to the rate, you can make the rate chase these very fast over here, or you can set it to manual and chase those with the spacebar, or you can set it to the audio trigger once again, and these are keying on the audio. If I want to add more positions, I just click them over here and my cue list gets longer, and you can see that my other positions are lighting up. These are great. They're intended for lasers, but they can also be hooked up to DMX relays, and anything can be controlled with them. Water jets, flames, CO2 jets, anything you can imagine it can be hooked up to a relay could use this and be a great utility chase for anyone. The next thing I'd like to show you is the DMX lighting page. This is a DMX lighting patcher. You've got 4 fixtures here, 1, 2, 3, 4 for RGB, and below it you have a generic lighting console. You can, if the fixture had a specific shutter feature, you could dial that shutter in and bring the shutter up and set it, and go over here and hit save according to whatever you want to name it, and recall it for later. And then all your LED lights and lighting fixtures are now saved. And the other feature here, pangolin chase. If the laserist who's using pangolin for graphics or beams, this is a familiar page. You can click on your graphics in the order you want them performed, and once again they can be performed with the audio trigger very musically. You can have them slow down every beat to every 2 beats, 3 beats, every 4 beats, 16 beats, 32 beats, and so you can musically control your graphics without having to sit there and press them. Very handy. And then of course the very, very helpful morphing dialog box. Morph is a wonderful feature that if you click it, turn it on, we can see that the color levels are growing. RGB are going up and down, and this can be adjusted. The blue can be turned down slower while the red's going fast. We can turn it back up. They can be tailored to go up or just down only. Up and down seems to be the most aesthetic, and we can see that the organ is over here. The interface is slaving to the colors on the screen. The real nice thing here that adds another level of musicality is the audio bump. So if we click that, suddenly we get not only do we get our nice color fades, but we get our RGB faders jumping to a random color according to our audio trigger. And this alone is almost a standalone show, and you could use this as a permanent install or all night on a dance floor or whatever you'd want. But the audio with the audio bump, or with the morph with the audio bump, is a beautiful, beautiful effect, and we can see that our laser organ interface is following quite nicely. I'll close that out there. So morph is a very, very handy and extremely handy tool. Now, last page here I'll probably go over is the hotkey page. It shows you, if you press the keys on the keyboard, you can turn on the strobe, chaser, the morph, the audio morph, and all these are just for quick playability and reference during a show. Well, I hope that it has answered some questions and shown you a little bit more about the laser organ and the laser organ software. And I certainly hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you will also purchase one. Thank you very much.